Hi guys, this is Saksham and welcome to my very first demonstration video. Today we have a project using the Arduino Yun and an infrared sensor. This is the circuit that I've hooked up and I'll be explaining the various components that I've used here. So right here, this little guy is the IR receiver module, and it's an infrared receiver basically, which works at a frequency of 38 kilohertz, which is kind of the universal. Most of the IR signals lie in that infrared range. This right here is a 4-pin, 4-legged RGB LED, and these are of course some current limiting resistors. So coming back to the receiver module, so this is basically it works with an input voltage of anywhere between 2.5 volts to 5.5 volts. So I've directly connected it to the 5 volt output of my Arduino Yun, and this module is tuned to demodulate, as I mentioned earlier, 38 kilohertz signals. The basic idea behind this setup is to send IR signals which would be received by the IR receiver module, and through the Yun, after being processed by the Yun, they would control this RGB LED right here. So instead of using an IR remote or an IR LED, I have a phone right here with me. It's an STC1M7, which comes with an infrared blaster, which was something I was very excited about when I actually bought the phone, but I've ended up not using it at all since then. So I thought I'll hook that up with this and try using that. So what I've done is I downloaded an app called IR Remote, which is basically a universal remote app, and for the various buttons I configured it to act as different signals being passed on to the IR receiver module. So I'll just hook up the setup to the laptop and we'll get started. So like I mentioned, it's a pretty commonly available RGB LED. So basically what I'm doing here is, so this is the basic remote layout. So I've powered up some of the buttons. Oops, hang on. So I have set up some of the buttons and I've configured them in my sketch so that they correspond to certain commands which go on to the LED. For example, I can power off my LED, I can power it back on, then I can change its color, and again I can change the brightness, and there it goes. So this is the minimum brightness, which obviously turns off, goes back to maximum, and so on. Changes the color again and power off. So I've used an external IR library in this project. It's called it's the Arduino IR remote library. Got it from GitHub, and the IR universal remote app was easily available. There are plenty of options on the Play Store, or if you're using the iOS, on the App Store. And so basically what happens is that each IR remote code which is sent from the blaster is 32 bits long, 4 bytes, and the first 2 bytes, the first two most significant bytes indicate the manufacturer, whether it's Sony or Philips or NEC or it's unknown, and they remain the same for all the buttons that you press. And the least significant 2 bytes are, they provide you the code for each specific individual button. So the idea behind this is that you just vary the two least significant bytes, and you assign them for different functions that you're trying to operate on your project, and accordingly as and when those signals are received by the module, you can configure them to perform different functions. So this was a small demonstration, and instead of just powering up an RGB LED, there is so much more that can be done with that. You can power up a servo motor or a relay, or there are plenty of other options as well. So hope you enjoyed this demo, and I hope you'll also try out something along these lines. Thank you.